Welcome to the 2023 Coaching Summit. This Coaching Summit is brought to you by us, Zoe Hawkins and Joe Wheatley from Inga Company, a global coaching training organisation. It is our mission to make coaching as accessible as possible to as many people as possible, and this Coaching Summit is one of the ways in which we do that. If you'd like to connect with us outside of this summit, then please follow us on Instagram, connect with us on LinkedIn, or join our Facebook group, The Coaching Crowd. We encourage you to share your learnings from these sessions and tag us in our social channels so we can share in the learning with you. But for now, sit back and enjoy the session. We can't wait to hear what you think.
Hello everybody, welcome to the session this morning with Angela Boyd. Delighted to be able to introduce you to Angela's session on coaching through Overwhelm. Just a quick little bit from me. So I'm Jo Wheatley. I'm one of the co-founders of Inga Company, who are the hosts and the coordinators of the Coaching Summit. And we've created this summit as an opportunity to showcase some of the fantastic coaches in the Coaching Crowd Business Lounge and to be able to give people access to high quality information about coaching, whether you're a coach in training, a qualified coach, and you wanted to be part of that community or access some CPD, or you're somebody that's interested for yourself or for the people that you manage. So whatever your reason for being here, a very warm welcome to you. Angela is a mindset and accountability coach for exhausted parents, helping them to find calm amongst the chaos. So if you're an ambitious parent who's experiencing exhaustion and chaos, you're in the right place. If you're somebody that works with clients who bring some of that content to the sessions, then this session will be for you as well. And Angela's going to be sharing with you steps to help you and your clients be able to take back control over time and set some healthy boundaries. So I hope you enjoy Angela's session. Over to you, Angela.
Thank you so much, Jo, and good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today, as I am going to coach you through Overwhelm. Now, as other speakers have done today, I've got some slides that I'm going to share. So I'm just going to share my screen and we will get started. Okay, can you see the slides?
Yes, they look great.
Beautiful, thank you so much. All right, so today I'm going to be sharing 4 of my proven steps to help you to break free from the chaotic, overwhelming thoughts that you can experience and leave you feeling more like you're in the driving seat of your life. Now, the session today is going to be interactive, so I really hope that you've got your smartphone at hand so that you can take part. I'm going to be using something called Mentimeter, so menti.com during the presentation, but please don't worry about jumping on your phone quickly and trying to scrabble around to find it. I will talk you through that in a little bit when it's relevant. For now, though, what I would really like you all to do is just take a nice, deep breath. Just ground yourself here in the moment. And now that we've done that, let's move on. So it's lovely to meet you. My name's Angela Boyd. I'm a mindset coach from Torquay down in Devon, and I predominantly support ambitious working parents who are struggling with the work-life juggle, you know, like parent, work, parent, sleep, repeat, that cycle that it can be so hard to get off. And I help these people to really rediscover what matters to them and to take action towards it so that they start to truly live their life, not just survive during it. A little bit about me is that I've got 2 gorgeous children and they are my absolute world. They're the reason that I started my own coaching business. And my background is in HR, with over 15 years supporting organisations and employees through many different turbulent times that we all experience. Away from work, you're going to find me outside, whether that's in a wood or perhaps by the sea. I'm quite often on the beach, digging tunnels with the children, or on the paddleboard, really getting in touch with my emotions. But more than anything, I'm truly passionate about people. I love to support them. I love to help them to grow. More than anything, I love to listen and hear what people have got to say. Well, that's a little bit about me. What I'd really like to do, just to test the chat out really, is to know a bit about who's here with us today. So can you pop into the chat who you are and where you are today, but also what has brought you to today's session? Is it that you're feeling overloaded at the moment, that you're feeling those signs of overwhelm and burnout creep up on you? Or maybe you're struggling to manage everything and you're afraid to ask for help, or you can't quite get the balance between work and home life right. Perhaps you're just curious to learn more. Whatever your reason, just pop it into the chat. Let me know who we've got on today. That's brilliant. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, work-life clashing. I know that feeling. Yeah. Curious to learn. Oh yeah, lots of people juggling things. Oh, a dad of twins. Welcome. You are more than welcome here. I can imagine how overwhelming that can be at times for you. That's wonderful. Thank you. Now, please don't feel like you need to write copious amounts of notes today, because I will be sharing the slides. I'll share details at the end as to how you can contact me, where I can share them with you directly, or I will be putting them into the Facebook group that Shelley has got control of, and we'll pop the link up in the chat, won't you, Shelley? Okay, so firstly, what exactly is overwhelm? Now, I think you'll agree the term is so commonly used today in so many different circumstances. It's something that has definitely become more prevalent since the pandemic. But when people are asked to describe it, to put it into words, quite often I find that people use a lot more actions than words. Like, I'm just feeling so, and it's all a little bit like this. Now, overwhelm can be described as being, as feeling overloaded by emotion because of something that is just too much to handle. It really is an emotional state in which you're struggling to cope with your day-to-day situation, and that will show up differently for everyone, how it presents itself and how it will make you feel. Sometimes it will take others to notice that maybe something's not quite right with you before we become aware of it. Now, you've all probably felt this way at some point in your life. You know, when things get a little bit too much, you feel a little bit uncertain, like you're struggling or maybe drowning in work or home life commitments, or just trying to navigate your way through the whole thing. As a coach, I have seen people struggle to adapt to the changes that the post-pandemic world has thrown upon us. Sort of that hybrid world, a little bit working from home, working in the office, not really sure where we're working. And I've supported them to move through the chaos and the uncertain fog through to some clarity, to more focus in their lives, just by making really small changes. So if you are experiencing exhaustion, burnout, feeling quite chaotic right now, and you long to be back in control of your life and living in a more calm and manageable way, then you are in the right place, believe me. But now we're going to get a little bit techy. So I'm really hoping that this works. If you have got your phone there, please get it out, because what I'd like to do now is just get some feedback from you. I'm going to be using Menti to gather some words, some emotions from you about how overwhelm can affect you. So please either scan the QR code from your smartphone or log on to menti.com and enter this code to take part. So the code is 64824754. Okay, now I'm just going to change my screen over. But if you can give me a thumbs up in the chat when you have managed to access Menti, that would be wonderful. Are people managing to get on? Yeah, excellent. I can see some action there. Okay, so the first question that I have got for you today is, what are the main causes of overwhelm for you? And there we go. People are in there already. This is great. Thank you, guys. Now, with a word cloud, the more that people use the same word, the larger it's going to get. So on here, I can see a lack of control coming up quite large. Time pressures, expectations, or it looks like work has all of a sudden taken over. Time, expectations, family, procrastination. This is brilliant. So many different causes there of overwhelm. So the code is 64824754 for anybody else who needs it. So coming up there, too much to do, the demands, the expectations of others. I think work and expectations and time are pretty much leading right there. Brilliant. Thank you. Now, please feel free to keep adding in, but we're going to just move on to the next question now. And the next question is, what feelings do you experience when you are overwhelmed? So we've got expectations again, money, exhausted, shut down, panic. Yeah. Stress is there, exhausted is coming up really clearly as quite a prevalent response. Anger, I can see withdrawn in there, sleepless nights, apathetic and tense, panic, anxiety, fear, tearful, yeah. Okay, thank you, everybody. And now let's move this on. Let's think about, how do you want to feel instead? Happy. Yeah, absolutely. In control. Calm. Calm's such a good feeling to have, isn't it? When we feel calm. Happy, calm, in control, peaceful, content, grounded. Yeah. Joy. Joy is so important in our life, isn't it? Hopeful, balanced. That's fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Now, feel free to keep adding your responses on there if you've just got to this question. What I'm going to do now is just stop sharing the Menti and get us back to the main slideshow. So thank you so much for that. So some of the causes of overwhelm that are often brought to coaching are things like meeting overload, where people are in back-to-back meetings. It's happened, hasn't it, since COVID, when we use Zoom and Teams all the time. You don't need to walk anywhere. You don't need to take a stroll to go and meet somebody. It's just constant on. The juggling of work and home life, and a real lack of time to do everything that you think you need to. Other causes are things like the hybrid working, especially when some employers these days are making demands on people returning to the office, perhaps more than you want to. And then we've got conflicting demands in your life, especially when those things are out of your control. Now, we saw a lot of that, didn't we, in the Menti answers. Causes of overwhelm included things like work, expectations, the demands, and there being too much to do. And definitely the lack of control kept coming up in there. Now, the effects of this can result in there being no time to do your day job. If you think about it, when you're in back-to-back meetings continually, when do you actually get round to doing the work that you're employed to do? This often means people are working really late in the evenings, working in the weekends, or the trend now seems to be, I'll just set the alarm for an hour before the kids get up and I'll squeeze a few emails out then. People find themselves worrying unnecessarily about all the things that they've got to do, being unable to wind down due to the amount of work they've got, or the things they haven't achieved. And this can really result in either trouble sleeping, or even worse, being able to go to sleep because you're so exhausted, but then waking in the middle of the night and suddenly not being able to let your mind rest and yourself go back to sleep. Then, of course, there's presenteeism, when you attend work because you feel that you've got to be there, even though maybe you're not fit to, maybe you really need some time out, and you're certainly not being productive or effective. You're not using your annual leave properly because although you might book time off, you still continue to work during that time just to try and catch your tail. But people tend to multitask more when they're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. And a lot of us will know that multitasking really doesn't help anybody or anything, does it? Because it's like having your phone open with far too many apps open at one time. So you just start to do that kind of slow, unfocused work. Or it's like when you attend a virtual meeting and you think that you can listen to the meeting and do your emails at the same time. Be honest, we've all been there. And if we're really honest, some of you might be there right now, and that's okay. There's no judgment here. Then I just want you to think about the emotional reaction that you can get, because this can be really different for everybody. Some people are going to feel angry and resentful. Other people are going to be teary and upset. And if you think on the Menti results on the word cloud, we had a lot of panic, a lot of fear, a lot of stress and disappointment. So I've discovered a little process to help people navigate overwhelm and to break free from the negative feelings that are connected to it, taking back control in their work-life juggle so that it actually works for them once again. So let's get started. Now, I've asked you to have your phone ready before. Now what I would love you to have is a pen and paper, because step one in the process is all about clarity. Now, it amazes me how quickly the feeling of overwhelm and out of control can creep up. And for me, this is often because I don't have oversight of everything I think I need to do or everything that I'm worrying about in my mind. As it says on the screen, clarity is essential. Fear is what lives in the unknown. The fear of thinking you've got 101 things to do at work. And then when you get home, you've got another 100 things to try and achieve. And that, oh my goodness, it's just all too much to bear. It can create stress and anxiety with you having no idea where to start. So I believe that there is a real power in knowing what it is you're worrying about and what it is you think you need to do. If someone asked you right now, could you actually list off everything that's whirring around your head that you need to get done? I know that when I ask my clients this question, they suddenly realize that no, they don't specifically know what is causing them to have these overloading feelings. And so when I ask them to take some time to clear their mind, get it all out, write it down, take that pen to paper, some of them worry that actually this is going to make it worse, that they'll be so concerned when they see everything. But actually, clarity is essential. Fear lives in the unknown. So I would encourage you now to have a real think about everything that's going on in your plate. I'm going to give you 3 minutes just to get really clear. So ask yourself this. What do you have to remember to do? Maybe at work, at home, for the kids. And what about for you and for your self-care? And then have a little think about what else there is whirring around in your head that is causing you to worry. Okay, we're halfway through. Be honest with yourself. What else is there going around your head? Is there anything else? Anything that you're frightened to admit to yourself that's whirring around? Okay, moving on. So step 2 in the process is to take a break. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Take a break. Once you have got everything out of your head that is worrying you, that you think you need to get done, that's been causing you to wake up in the middle of the night, then I always encourage clients to break a state, to do something different, to take some deep breaths, walk away. Leave the list on the table, go and grab a cup of tea or take a quick walk. Now, changing the environment and the state of your mind really helps to break those feelings of overwhelm. If you think about it, you've done the hard bit. You've emptied your mind, you've written the list. You're not going to forget anything because you've just got it out. So go and have some time to yourself before thinking about the next step. Now, obviously, I don't mean for you all to leave the Zoom. Please make sure you stay and hear the rest of my steps, but you kind of get the idea. So what I'd love you to do now is just in the chat, if you share some suggestions about what people could do for a quick break. What would you do? If I said now you've got 5 minutes completely to yourself, wherever you are, what are you going to go and do? So I can see people are going to stretch, going to go for a walk, have a cuppa, go out in the garden. Woof, it's going so quick. Stretch and sing, pat the dog, load the dishwasher. Yeah, dehead the flowers. These are brilliant. Dance like crazy. Do you know what? That's a great one. And I'm not going to lie, I did that just before coming on today's session, just to break the state that I was in. Play the dusty piano. Oh, I love the idea of that one. But see, there's so many different ideas. It doesn't have to be anything taxing. It can be something exactly where you are right now. Mine is usually empty or load the washing machine because that's right behind me here. So that's a great quick one to do, but it just takes your mind out of your mind, really, doesn't it? Now, step 3, once you've taken a quick break and you've taken some deep breaths, then it's time to really consider the options that you have got. This is where you can see whether any of the tasks that you've put down on your list or any of the things you're worrying about, whether they can be almost grouped together. This is when you can look at which are the most urgent and which maybe don't even need to be on there, because once you've got them out of your head, you've gone, oh, actually, that's okay. I don't need to be dwelling on that or worrying about that. But more importantly, this is where you can consider and think about who else could support you with them. Because sometimes we forget, don't we? We're not an island. We can share the load with people, and we can ask for help, and we can delegate. We don't have to be Superwoman or Superman. So looking at your list, just think about who you could share this with. Now, it could be a partner at home. It could be about just talking to them this evening about, could they perhaps load the dishwasher or do the school run once a week for them? Or maybe help do a bedtime routine just so that you could maybe get to the gym one evening a week. Or what about a friend who maybe always offers to collect your kids, but you're too proud to do that because you're the parent who can do it all? What harm would it be if actually somebody else collected your kids one day from school and they went home to their house for a play date, which meant that you could attend that all-important meeting that you keep putting off at work? Or maybe at work, you could share with your colleagues that you're just finding it all a little bit much right now, and how are they getting on? How are you managing? If nothing more, you might find that you're not the only one feeling this way, and just that can really help to lift things. If you're feeling particularly on it, you could speak to your boss about what the actual priorities are, couldn't you? What will need to give in order for you to achieve this? Just think about it. What is the best outcome you could get by asking for help or by sharing how you're feeling? When I think about this, and I think that I should be able to manage all on my own, I quite often come back to my best friend and how I would feel if I knew that she'd been struggling silently with any area of her life. You always know, don't you? You would instantly offer to help that person in your life. You would instantly try and support them and want to be there to share their load. So just think about that when you sit there struggling on your own, feeling overwhelmed. Now, finally, the final step I'm taking you through is all about your time. So time is something that you can so easily misjudge. I'm renowned by my husband for thinking everything is a 5-minute job. And let's face it, I seem to get really cross, usually with myself, when it takes longer. If you consider what time you actually have and you're realistic about it, that can also help to just calm those overwhelming feelings of there never being enough time to do everything. I often talk to my coaching clients about how they spend their time, especially if they wish they had more of it. A lot of time can be wasted, can't it? Especially after a busy day when maybe you've got home from work, you've fed the kids, you've put them to bed and you're feeling tired. So you think to yourself, do you know what? I'm just going to unwind with 5 minutes on Facebook or 5 minutes on LinkedIn. And that's a fine choice to make until that 5 minutes is suddenly 95 minutes and your whole evening has gone down the scroll hole and it's time for bed. So just now consider, have a little think whether there is any time that you know you could use more effectively. If there is something that you need to do or you want to do, which will stop you from worrying, could you use your time in a better way, a more effective way to help you move closer to that? Anything that will just quieten that mind down. And then have a little think about whether there's any techniques or tools that could help you. Now, for me, I always think I'm time poor, but I've started trying to reframe that. And actually what I am is trying to maximize the limited time that I've got. I'm a huge fan of breaking the time I do have into sort of 30-minute bite-sized chunks, because this will give me really dedicated time to focus on just one thing. I'll also set an alarm on my phone. And when that goes off, I take a quick break, and we've seen how many amazing ideas there are about breaks, and then move on to something else, whether I finish that initial task or not. I think it's known as the Pomodoro technique, and it really helps me to be productive, even when time's really, really limited. And then the final thing to think about around your time is whether there are any resources you need to help. For me, I get really easily distracted. I keep coming back to my phone, don't I? But I'm really easily distracted by my phone. It's like an appendage or something. So I've got an app on there that prevents me from using it for a set period of time. So I have no distraction. I can't go onto Facebook and lose 25 hours. I just have to focus on the task at hand. So there we go. We have just been through 4 of my proven steps to help you to break free from those overwhelming feelings and start to take back some element of control. You have gained clarity into what's been worrying you, what's been on your to-do list, and you've cleared your mind. You've got all of that out onto paper so that you can see everything and tackle it in more manageable ways. You've thought about who you could share the load with and what difference that will make. And you've also considered what time you have and the different ways in which you can maximize it. So what happens next? Listening to this workshop and doing a couple of exercises isn't instantaneously going to clear your overwhelm. Now it's time for you to prioritize yourself and your well-being. So what I would really love to know, if you can pop it into the chat, is what one takeaway you are going to take away from today and when you're going to put it into practice. Okay, so we've got prioritizing the load, adding me to the to-do list. I love that. Brilliant idea. Charlotte's going to empty her head more often. Use time more effectively. Yeah. The take a break option. Do you know what? Sometimes people look at me when I talk about taking a break like, I've got so much to do. How can I take a break? But it's so important. Brilliant. Getting things out of your head, decluttering your thoughts. Fantastic. That's really good. Thank you, everybody. So before I wrap up and hand over to you guys for questions, I just wanted to share details of where we can connect. On the bottom of all the slides today, you have got my website where you can find links to all my social platforms and my blog. But I've also created a free downloadable guide to breaking free from overwhelm, where I share the rest of my proven steps. I'll just let you know, I also share a really good Rocky Road recipe in there, so it is well worth a download. Now, folks, thank you so much for joining me. Remember, if you would like a copy of the slides at the end of today, please do email me. You can see my email address is just there on the screen now. But for now, over to you. If you've got any questions or any reflections or any thoughts on what has been discussed today, please either unmute or pop them in the chat.
Angela, I'm just going to jump in and just let you know, Kate has asked, how do you help someone that feels that they have a huge list and it's always urgent right now and can only be done by them?
I would really sit with them to, look at the list and maybe use some sort of prioritizing techniques, encourage them to really pull that out more. And I would want to talk to them more about why they feel the need for it only to be done by them. What's stopping them from perhaps pulling on others? Because I think we can, especially as sort of ambitious working parents, we can feel this need to prove to others that we've got it all and we can handle everything. Whereas actually it's okay to ask other people for help. And so I would really work around that and what the blocker is stopping them from doing that.
There's one just come up now. How do you explain to someone that what they are feeling has moved from overload to overwhelm?
That's a really interesting question, actually, because the two are quite similar, aren't they? When you're feeling that overloaded feelings. So I would again encourage somebody to have a think around what they're feeling and what they want to be feeling, and then try and bridge the gap between those, working through the steps that we have done today.
Lovely. Many of my clients are overwhelmed due to perfectionism, so they don't delegate and spend too long on things. Wondered what you thought of ways forward.
Perfectionism point comes up so often, and I think that in a way that deserves a whole session on its own, doesn't it? Sort of working with people about their perfectionist traits, where that has come from, what experience they have had that has led them to feel that everything has to be perfect. Because there's a phrase, isn't there, about taking messy action, and not worrying until something's perfect to put it out there into the world. And I would want to explore that a lot more in more detail with that particular client, I think.
Great, thank you. Melanie has asked, can you tell us what the app is that you use to block from your phone?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think somebody put it in the text already, but I've got an app on there called Forest, and it grows a lovely little tree. So you set a timer, which is great for the Pomodoro effect. I usually set a timer for half an hour. And if you don't touch your phone and you don't engage with it whatsoever, a lovely little tree appears. And I think that they also plant trees for the trees that you grow. So it's nice and sustainable as well for the world. But yeah, it's called the Forest app. It's really handy because if you're like me and get distracted by your phone at every given minute, it's a great one just to have there to stop you. Because I'm a bit like, oh, I'm doing good for the world by not looking at that. Fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody. If there are no more questions, I would just like to say once again, thank you so much for coming along. And I'll put my slides in the Facebook group. And like I say, you can email me if you'd like a copy sent to you directly. And back over to you, Shelley.
Thank you so much, Angela. Again, as always, amazing comments in the chat from everybody. Thank you all so much again for joining us. I think there's been so much that we can all take with us after this session today. So thanks, Angela. And as mentioned, as always, if anyone's got any other questions, please pop them in our Facebook group and or email us. And I'm sure many of our speakers will be sharing in the Facebook pop-up group as well. We are closing this session now. If you're due back to join us at 12 o'clock with Zoe and Joe, please just keep an eye on the time because we'll be coming in then. But like I say, I'll be closing this one now and we'll see you back then. Thanks again, Angela.
Thank you.